Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, how does science, what does this role play in the convictions and all that?
Do you mean like the scientific breakthroughs that I was
Yes.
thinking about? The way that science works is that nowadays there's actually DNA, which is a very coded genetic thing in your blood. I'm sorry, I can't remember the word. But it's found in your system, and nobody has the same type of DNA as another person. So let's say somebody got convicted for murder and there was DNA underneath the victim's nails and they found it. They can match it to the person that is already in jail and see if it is theirs, and they can go from there, and the case will later lead to more clues and more things. But science plays a very important role, especially in DNA evidence. And now, today, there's cases from 50 years ago where DNA evidence has solved these cases and people have been liberated, which is outrageous, really, because they didn't have this back then. And it's great that they have it. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. How can a person on death penalty have, spend more money than one that's in prison, like life in prison?
The reason that, like I said, more commonly people think that it would cost less for the death penalty than having a whole person. This is why. There's more actual appeals, and because there's no limit on the appeals, how many times you can fight for your case. Let's say if you're put to death penalty and you want to fight it until you're put out, you can appeal as many as 100 times, and this is costing lawyer money, prosecutor money, all kinds of agencies that are involved. It's costing them out millions and millions of dollars. Well, I would say thousands, which would later add up to the millions of dollars that can actually end up with a whole conviction. From, like I said, the indictment when they get served as, being suspected, all the way to they're actually put to death. So, versus a person that is put in the prison, normally they don't fight their appeal. They are usually people that are convicted and are, okay with their sentence. They might appeal once or twice and they get nowhere. So they quit and they don't waste all this money. And in total, their food costs, their everything they do, they can work in the prison, which can, end up paying back some of this stuff that they waste on, and it costs less. Like I said, more people think that the death penalty costs less, but it really doesn't. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. What do you mean, like life with parole? Like,
Life without parole?
Yeah.
Life without parole is, like I said, the indeterminate sentence. It does not have an end. There is one downside, though. Life without parole, like I said, means life without any type of getting out. But a life sentence is considered by law 20 years. So if you're 20 when you get convicted with a sentence of life without parole, you can get out when you're 40. Versus if you're 60 and you serve life without parole, you might not make it all the way to 80. So you probably will die in there. So, it just depends how old you are, really what you want to call life without parole, but life without parole doesn't mean 20 years. Does anybody else have any questions?